Welcome back. This is part 2 of the Volant performance intake review. I got a thunderstorm going on in the background, so you might hear some thunder, loud bangs, all that kind of good stuff. But let's get to it. I have driven with it for a couple days since the last video. Small recap. Tried opening up this, did a vent down to the bottom, didn't like the heat, so I capped it. Ran with it like that for a while. I didn't like it. Put the header wrap on this. It actually dropped the intake temps dramatically, helped prevent heat soak, everything else. So I left it like that for a couple days. Then I thought, what can I do that costs very little money to make it better? So therefore, I took the inlet, just like the factory intake box, like I went over in the last video, and I opened that up. The ducting, which I got from Lowe's, it's just like a simple air ducting for like the side of a house. 4-inch inlet, kind of had to trim to fit for the hole. You could make the hole bigger. Trimming out the hole and making the whole thing fit in there. So all the ram air, instead of going through a circle, goes through just a scoop into the box. But I also don't want to get too technical. This is a daily driver. This isn't meant to be fast. Yes, it's all built, all the B.T.R stuff, but it's still over 4,000 pounds. With that being said, doing the air scoop and everything else made it perform a lot better. Temperature is substantially lower, a lot closer to the ambient temperature, and that's where we want it. I also tried taking the lid off completely and just running open box. I trimmed the seal for the hood to allow air to cross between the headlight into the intake. With the lid off, doing normal driving about 35 miles an hour. It is 77 degrees outside right now. It is raining, which is a good test. It allows me to see how much air is actually flowing through there. So obviously if the inside of the intake box or the intake filter is wet, that just shows how much movement's going through the hood. Yeah, the filter's pretty dry. I mean, there's no water up here. No water here. There's water here. Let's hit here and stop. You can kind of see how the water drips right on this ledge. Same kind of deal. At the same time, doing about 35-40, the intake is staying about 105 degrees. The temperature in the engine bay is also being pushed into the intake box, or like 55, 65, 70 range, and it dramatically drops down. So therefore, intake temps weren't the greatest unless you're doing like 70 or above. But in town, it's actually hotter than it would be with just the lid on there. And then when you're doing 70 or above, this gets even closer to ambient temps, so you might as well just leave the lid on. Never ran a dyno with and without the lid, so I can't say that. Maybe in another video, like I said, when I want to test different intake filters, one with the velocity cone, one without, that'll be something I test along those lines as well. But I just want to give an update, show the before and afters, and I'll let you decide. But I thought for sure maybe taking the lid off would have been the best way. I do like the way the lid looks on the vehicle. Having it on there just kind of gives it something to look at, not just a typical open air box. It kind of shows the company and everything else, and it looks good by all means. But yeah, go ahead and leave a comment or a like, or if you have any other questions or any experience with this yourself, go ahead and let me know what you think.